I'm Richard Gearhart, an intellectual property attorney specializing in patents, trademarks, and copyrights.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart, not an attorney, but I do work at Gearhart Law doing the marketing, and I have my own startup.
Welcome to Passage to Profit, everybody, the show that's all about entrepreneurism, innovation, and the intellectual property that helps them flourish. Tonight, we have a lot of great content coming up. I'm really looking forward to the program. We have Shauna, the tax goddess. Tax season is coming up, and I admire anybody who can put the word tax and goddess in the same phrase. So hats off to you, Shauna. And then after that, we're going to have Valeria Aloe, who's going to be talking about human consciousness and conscious abundance. So very interesting topics. I'm sure we'll all learn a lot.
And then we have a great company, and you may have seen them on TV, on YouTube. They've been all over the place. So we're very blessed to have them here. We have Mark Cronin and John Lee Cronin with John's Crazy Socks.
I'm already laughing before the show. John, we're supposed to refer to John as the big sexy. So when we get into it, John, you're going to be right there.
But then who's the little sexy? Is that his dad?
Well, let's not go there.
He's smiling.
Just kidding.
So anyway, it's time for IP in the news before we get to our distinguished guests tonight. And so what are we talking about?
Well, this reminded me of something that happened to us.
Yes.
So it's a trademark confusion case.
Oh, we're frequently confused, but please proceed.
Well, we went to Sedona, Arizona, and when we booked the place, we thought we were booking Adobe Village Inn and Suites in the middle of Sedona. But there's another Adobe Village that's outside of Sedona that was totally self-serve, no restaurants, no people there to help you, no concierge, nothing. You were totally on your own. They left the key on the counter, and that you never saw anybody.
It was a nice place, and we had a good time, but it's not what we were expecting.
Not what we thought we were getting.
Right.
So in this case, there's another possibility of name confusion. So do you want to explain what happened?
I'll do my best. This is all about curry pizza. And quite honestly, I've never had curry pizza. So I can't really say whether it tastes good or not, but it sounds kind of interesting. And of course, pizza is our favorite subject, but there's a trademark dispute between the Curry Pizza House and the Curry Pizza Company. So Curry Pizza House was there first, and they had a successful restaurant. And so somebody who shall remain nameless decided that they would approach the CEO and ask the CEO for, well, how did you make a successful pizza restaurant and what's on your menu? And it turns out that this person then went back and started their own pizza restaurant called the Curry Pizza Company, as opposed to the original Curry Pizza House, right?
Which honestly, I had never heard of curry pizza before I saw this online.
I know.
So it was really distinctive, right?
I've had Thai pizza, like with peanut sauce on it. That was pretty good. And I know
had a lot of fish pizza on the West Coast. Shrimp pizza.
Fish pizza?
Oh God, it's the best. Yeah.
That just sounds, and fish is fine, but I can't imagine. What kind of fish did they put on it?
Well, shrimp mostly.
Well, that's not fish. That's
seafood.
Shrimp.
Okay.
Oh, that's seafood pizza.
But no, you could get other fish on your pizza.
So anyway, this name thief stole the idea for the restaurant. They stole their menus. And of course, now they're in litigation about it. But it just goes to show you have to be careful. You have to protect your brand. It's a good thing that the original owner had trademark protection now, because they have something to fight with.
Well, the other thing is, like, what if Curry Pizza Company doesn't taste as good as Curry Pizza House? You go and you think you're getting the stuff that's really good. Like your next door neighbor said, go to Curry Pizza. You go to the wrong Curry Pizza, and you're like, what were they talking about? This is terrible.
Exactly.
Not that I don't know if it's terrible or good. I'm not judging.
It's also the key on the counter of the hotel rather than the concierge service that you were expecting.
Right. Exactly.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So the other point is, so were we going to talk about our Aruban vacation?
We're going to talk about our Aruban vacation. So the most memorable part of it.
So, if you're a regular listener, you know that you can trademark smells, right? So when we were in Aruba, we went to the donkey sanctuary. And we went there in an open air Jeep, right? And the tour guide, who's a pretty bright fellow, parked us very close to the donkeys and said, does anybody want to get out and take a picture? And everybody just kind of sat there in the Jeep waiting for this part of the tour.
Because
to
you
end.
can imagine a bunch of donkeys in an enclosure, like 80 to 90 degree weather. And it wasn't as windy there as it normally is everywhere else on the island. And you're just kind of like sitting in this donkey poop smell.
Yeah. And that's like a smell that nobody should trademark, right? I think that even if you could get one, you wouldn't want it anyway.
So
Maybe to clear out some spaces, military trying to get people to leave or something.
Right.
You
Well,
didn't bottle it to bring it home?
I said to the guy, I said, if I give you $5 for the donkeys, can we go?
Yeah, and he took it, made the donation. We were out of there in a minute. So I think that was his plan all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, now it's time for Richard's Roundtable, and I'd like each of you to take the opportunity to comment on what we just talked about. Anything from shrimp pizza to trademark issues to
Just
donkey
trademarking
smells.
smells.
Yeah, so
To Aruba, whatever.
So, Shauna, the tax goddess, please enlighten us with some tax wisdom. No, just enlighten us with your thoughts about this this whole
Tax wisdom comes
situation.
later.
It all comes together, all the good bits. Well, I mean, one of the fantastic things, and I've got stories just like everybody else does, right? Tax goddess, we actually own the trademark in the entire US for tax goddess. We have had hundreds of people on Facebook, on websites, on whatever, documentation, literature, use that name. And
Really?
unfortunately, really hundreds. We actually have templated letters that we send out to people. I mean, it happens at least once a week because it is
Wow.
just such a good name. I mean,
Well,
tax
it's
goddess.
great that you got there first. That's amazing, and you must give good tax advice. Otherwise, people wouldn't want to copy you, right?
Well, and that's part of the deal. We're in the top 1% in the country for what we do. So yeah, tax goddess it's a good name, it's a good brand, and we do a good job. But you're exactly right. People steal that name all the time. Now, often, I'll be very honest with you, often it's some single person. Our firm is 70 people. We're big from that standpoint, right? Often it's a single person, they're in their home and they go, oh yeah, I've got this great idea. They came up with the idea. They didn't look, they didn't research, they didn't see if anybody else had this name. They just started calling themselves the tax goddess. So in 99% of cases, they back off instantly. Here's a letter from the attorney. Here's our trademark. They back off. This is not a problem. We've only ever had one case where somebody tried to say, we got there first. Thank goodness. We have our trademark and our paperwork and all the details. And no, you didn't, honey. Right. And so stop using the name. But yeah, we've actually had cases, unfortunately, somebody using another company where you're talking about the pizza's not any good. Somebody using another company. I got terrible service from Tax Goddess. They're posting that to our Yelp or our Google. Guess what? That's not us. We don't even have you as a client in our record names. So sorry, please remove this. But it can actually cause some damage because if you look at, for example, Yelp's policies, a review is a review is a review, whether it's actually your company or not your company, it can actually cause damage. Yeah. And so it becomes a fight with Google or with Yelp, even though it had nothing to do with you. And you can prove it has nothing to do with you. It can cause some serious damage.
Yeah, I agree. It is really important. Right. Valeria, what are your thoughts?
So even though we're going to talk later about consciousness and abundance, I have a lot of years in business. I come from a corporate career. I'm from Argentina. I came here 20 years ago for my MBA at Dartmouth, and I've been in corporate. So in corporate, we were extremely careful because I was in innovation, mostly for consumer goods, to trademark. IP protection was a big thing that corporations did. And we were extremely careful to pick names that, were unique and make sure we protected them. However, I have to say, 5 years ago, I pivoted my career to help incubators and entrepreneurs. And I've been working with roughly, I would say, 500 entrepreneurs closely in the last 5 years, mostly from Latino communities and communities of color. And I have to say, these small businesses do not invest the time and the money to protect their name. In my own experience, I find that there is not the awareness of the importance of doing this. I have seen people copying names from each other. I have seen that it damages your brand. But yes, there is this lack of awareness, and sometimes they are hesitant to invest, right? To invest time and money in protecting their names. So I'm very happy we're having this conversation on this platform, because this really helps to bring this information to the community. I recently launched my book, Uncolonized Latinas. So that name is already taken. I just want to say that the name is Uncolonized Latinas is already taken. There's a copyright. So, yeah, the importance, particularly for small business, is about reaching out to experts and protecting their ideas, protecting their names.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't agree with you more,
Yeah.
of course, but it is important. I mean, trademark really shouldn't cost much more than $2,500, which is, to a startup can be a lot of money. But before you invest, you know, thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars in your branding and your materials, it makes sense to check and make, you know, just to make sure that somebody else isn't already using it. Because otherwise you run into problems. You know, people who are there first will start a fight. So,
Okay.
John?
We have dealt, we've been in business a little more than 5 years, and from early on, we dealt with some name confusion, some of which was purposeful. Shauna, we can relate to what you heard. Somebody, the worst example was somebody who copied our website, literally copied the website, and our mission is spreading happiness. They changed the word happiness. Otherwise, the text was the same.
Wow.
Blows my mind.
They backed down quickly, but we've had other things that are not necessarily, you know, our understanding that you could trademark. So among other things, my partner here, you know, he's an entrepreneur, an athlete, a public speaker, but you also have Down syndrome.
Right.
Right. So we created a Down syndrome awareness sock, and we had gone to see if somebody else had one. Nobody else made one. That's been one of our best-selling socks. Now, lots of people make Down syndrome themed socks. They're not violating a copyright or a trademark in doing that. But one difference is they don't have John, and they don't have the commitment we do of, you know, John's on the board of the National Down Syndrome Society,
I do.
and our socks raise money for the National Down Syndrome Society, so they don't have that. But we've had, you know, the crazy sock term actually was trademarked by somebody else back in the 90s. They don't seem to protect it. We're always John's Crazy Socks. One of our suppliers, who's also a competitor because they sell directly to consumers, has changed their website to crazysocks.com. So our lawyers are looking about having a conversation with them.
Wow.
Well, that's
But-
excellent. You don't know that you need lawyers till you need lawyers, right?
Right, until you find out about these
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
So I
So-
guess
Well-
the IP takeaway message today is, you know, make sure you do a trademark search before you get, you know, you get started and pick a name that you can trademark, right?
Right.
So,
Well, look at the Cleveland Indians who wanted to change their name and found out they changed it to the name of a roller derby team that still controlled the name, the Guardians. So
that's
Yeah.
we're
great.
in trouble.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with more Passage to Profit right after this. All
Well,
right.
that was a great discussion. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So we're going to interview Shauna now, Richard and I.
Okay.
And Kenya's on her way. I don't know when she'll be here, but that's okay.
Okay.
So
Let's get going. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, of course. And we have Shauna, the tax goddess, with us this evening. And you know, it's tax time. I really appreciate somebody who can be a tax goddess and make taxes fun and interesting, or at least save you a little bit of money. So tell us, Shauna, give us the 5 most important things that a tax person or somebody filing a tax return should be aware of.
Okay. Well, let me start by saying you are 100% correct. Working with a goddess is absolutely a lot more interesting and more fun. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be very happy. But top 5 things that you need to know when you're working on a tax return. And I'm going to also cover a little bit over tax strategy, if that's okay. Because
Sure.
to be honest, many people believe that their tax CPA, the person preparing their tax return, right, years over, I give you my documents, you prepare the tax return. Many people believe that that tax CPA is actually doing tax strategy for you as well. And those are 2 very distinct things, right? There are 600, according to Google, 660,000 CPAs in the USA that do all sorts of things, right? Tax returns, audits, financial securities, all sorts of things. Tax strategists, there's only 607 of us. So there's a huge difference between somebody preparing your tax return and somebody actually strategizing with you to protect your IP, make sure your business is running well, but look at how can we reduce taxes, right? Overarchingly. So I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you know what, that's really, I really appreciate that, because when we've looked at our taxes, you kind of learn after a while what's deductible and what's not, but you just wonder, then you hear about all these other people who are, quote, not paying taxes, whatever it means. And it's like, what are they doing? You know?
Yep. They have people like us, which
Yeah.
is the fun bit. Well, and I feel like for a lot of people, a lot of, baby entrepreneurs, right? You've started your business. IP is a big thing. We look at that. We start the business. You might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years in. You're starting to make some good profit. They go to their CPA and say, great, what do we do now? And the CPA says, fund your 401k and buy a car. Well, I don't need a new car every year, right? 401k, great, retirement, fine. But really, for a lot of CPAs, this is like the icing on the cake, right? This is the very, very top of that iceberg. It is not going into detail and looking at all those things. So the top 5 things that I would do if I were an entrepreneur and I'm looking to find the right relationship. Okay, so first one, look to find the right relationship. Actually interview the person that you're working with, okay? Are you a strategist? Do you consider yourself to be a strategist versus just somebody preparing a return? Okay. What is your aggression scale? This is something I want to know how to trademark or patent or whatever we need to do.
How fast do you drive, right?
How fast do you drive? Well, and really
55 or 80, right?
It's a question of 0 to 10.
Right.
0 meaning the IRS never calls you, never ever, right? Random audit, fine. 10 meaning we're all going to jail. Right? Where do you want to sit on the scale? Because if your CPA says 2, but you in your heart, you're an entrepreneur, you're probably an 8. Okay. There's a huge difference. That's a lot of money left on the table.
But we're not actually talking about evading any IRS rules. We're talking about there's always in the legal and regulatory world these grays areas, right? And so you can decide whether you're going to try to take advantage of a gray level, but you would never actually counsel somebody to break a rule, right?
Right. Like for instance, at Gearhart Law, like we don't deduct our meals and stuff. Like some people will go out to dinner and deduct
that's because
everything.
they're no longer deductible.
But some people will deduct everything.
Wait, she's trying to say something here.
I'm going to fix your life right here, honey. No. Entertainment is not deductible. Meals absolutely are.
Right.
So this is an excellent example. Let's back up right quick. Scale of 0 to 10. Okay. An 8 on that scale. So I am a CPA, certified public accountant. I'm not going to jail. Everybody seems very nice. No, I'm not going to jail for no. Okay. Let's start there. So a level 8 means you're crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. You might get a call from the IRS, but if you do, you're going to show them all the paperwork. They're going to go, yep, everything checks out. You're good. Okay. That's a level 8. Level 10, you're Al Capone. Okay. So when you're level 10, okay. A level 9, when you start talking about the gray area, that's your level 9, right? I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to make a choice and this is my choice. And here's what I'm going to do. Okay. So generally tax goddess, we are at an 8. We will advise you at an 8. So side note, those meals are absolutely deductible. Entertainment, no. Meals, yes. So this is an excellent example of the difference between a level 2 CPA who often says, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to do the research. I don't want to break it out. I don't want to figure out all the numbers. We're just going to say it's not deductible and kind of ignore it, versus somebody who's a level 8. The one thing people say they hate about Tax Goddess, we ask a million questions, literally a million, because I need to know, well, what are you doing on those meals? Are you talking business, or are you really like out for a date, right? You know, what are you really doing on those meals? So you would ask me the top 5. I don't want to get too far off track.
Oh, no, yeah, keep going. This is great.
You're so sweet. Okay.
Well, I did have a question though that I
Please,
want to
please.
interrupt with, and I think you're kind of answering it.
Okay.
But besides looking like a goddess with that incredible hair, oh my God, I love your wavy red hair. You look like everybody's picture of a goddess. What makes you a goddess? Is it being the level 8?
That's a great question. I'm going to answer this in 3 parts. Okay. The first piece of a goddess, you are correct. The hair, I mean, hello. But no, really, part of it is having a personality. Really, honestly. I can have a conversation with you. I can explain things in human English, not tax code, which is a big deal for entrepreneurs, because they're like, listen, I'm busy doing my widget. I don't have time to figure out all the things you know. Okay. Second one is education. So I'm ex KPMG, one of the highest ranked accounting firms in the globe, right? My entire career, I've been doing taxes for a little over 24 years at this point. As you can see in Forbes, we've been an entrepreneur. We are literally ranked in the top 1% in the country for the knowledge that me and my team have, that we have built over the last 18 years. So a part of being the goddess there is I always look at myself kind of like a dragon sitting on top of a pile of gold. Because when somebody comes, right? So if John and Mark come, or Valeria show up at my office, right? I am looking at for their custom situation. Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you own a business? Do you own rental properties? Do you own cryptocurrency? Like what do you have custom situation for you? Of my pile of gold coins, this one will work for you. This one will work for you. That one will work for you. And this one over here is going to work for you. So we literally build custom plans for entrepreneurs based on their goals, based on their situation. Where are you trying to go?
So Shauna, one thing Richard and I struggle with, and I think entrepreneurs struggle with too, is knowing what documents you have to have and where you can keep them. Like if I get a receipt from like we did take somebody out to lunch in Sedona, and she is a business. She was on the show. She is a business person.
Yeah.
We didn't try to expense that, but I will probably need the receipt and an explanation and then a place to keep it. So what do you tell people to do? Like for entrepreneurs who are trying to track deductible expenses like that?
Absolutely. So the first thing is keep everything. Now that for many people, they're picturing all of a sudden 16 filing cabinets worth of 10 years. No, get a habit, build a habit. Every time you buy something, every time you get a piece of mail, pull out your phone, take a picture of it. You now have digital record with your hand in the photo or whatever, right? Something to prove that this was not like a made up receipt, something like that, right? Take a picture of your receipt and write on the receipt who, what, where, when, why. Why am I having this business meal? Who are they?
Can I just break in here? So you say you have your finger or something in there to prove that it's you. Do people try to make fake evidence and fake receipts? And does the IRS like really like
Catch that?
look for that and do analysis on it?
You guys are asking the best questions. So let's back up here. All right. So very first thing, as of right now, about a month ago, the IRS released a public notification to everyone saying we are now 24 million tax returns behind, going all the way back to 2019. Okay. So it's a fact that I need you guys to know. Second one, about 4 months ago, the IRS released a notice saying if you don't make $10 million or more, we don't have the bandwidth to even talk to you. Okay. Now, do people try to muck around with receipts? All day, brother. All day, right? Because let me pick one of my favorite examples. We had a client buy a jet boat. Okay. Like it was a $70,000 jet boat, right? He tried to modify the receipt. He's no longer a client. Side note. He tried to, when I caught it, we're not playing that game. Tried to modify the receipt to actually say it was a piece of computer, like a specialty piece of computer equipment. like the boat.
Well, what did
company
he do?
doesn't
Just
have a
type
record.
computer on the receipt or something? I mean,
It was bad. It was like, you could tell. I mean, it was like edited. I mean, it was really bad. It was really bad.
really? Wow. Something like that would never even cross my mind, but
So I do think it's a great idea though. Take the picture with your
Yep.
phone because everybody has their phone. And if you have it all documented on there, and then everybody that has a Gmail account has a Google Drive, which usually shows up on the phone. So you can just stick it all on your Google Drive, right?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot of programs where you can add it and add labels and do all the kind of fun, fancy stuff. But to be honest with you, if the IRS were ever to come to audit you and they say, okay, show me that receipt for that dinner. And, when you went to go take this person out in Sedona, great. Let me go to that date because I have it in my calendar, right? Here's the date I had that dinner. Let me go to that date in my photos. And here we go. And by the way, here's the picture of the three of us sitting at the table, like super easy, super easy.
Ah,
well, that's pretty good because
that's worth a lot of money right there.
I can guess that if the IRS finds one mistake, now they're like, oh,
The
there's
door
going to be
is
more
open.
than one mistake, right? So if you can shut them down early, then
Shut them down early.
they may.
Absolutely. If
Yeah.
there's ever an audit, you want to be organized. What did I say? Cross those T's, dot those I's. Yes, sir, Mr. IRS agent. I have it right here. Would you like me to pull up the 400 other receipts that you need? No,
They'll
no,
be
ma'am.
like,
We're
no,
good."
that's okay.
Exactly. And that's what you want. Now, of
Right.
course, in the first place, what you want is never to have them call you in the first place, right?
Right.
Right.
Which is why you cross the T's, dot the I's, you follow all the rules, all of them, right?
Mm.
Follow all of the rules. But if you do that, I mean, let me put it to you this way. In 2021, Tax Goddess saved our clients over $523 million. And a lot of it, I'm going to use my favorite case. You guys talked about the meals that you didn't expense. There is a specific, so another tip for all the listeners out there, there's a specific type of thing. It's called an accountable plan. Okay. What an accountable plan does is it says, as business owners, many of us buy something personally that really should have been for the business, like this meal, right? You paid for it personally. You didn't know it was business. Now you know it's business. You're fine, right? So you can use this accountable plan to reimburse out of the company to you for those expenses. The company gets to take the expense. Well, many people are paying their cell phone personally. They're paying for their car personally. You might have a home office, especially in COVID. Everybody's got a home office. You're paying for your rent and utilities and power and everything else personally. Okay. My favorite case example, we had a client come in. They were spending over $190,000 every year personally that really should have been run through the business.
Oh, I bet they were happy to meet you. Yeah.
They were very happy to meet us.
$190,000.
So Shauna, what are the red flags for an audit? I mean, I always heard home office was like the big red flag, but now with COVID and everything,
It changed about 7. Yeah, it changed to actually about 7 years ago. And a lot of it changed pre-COVID because of what the West Coast was doing, right? Many of the West Coast high-tech companies were getting everybody all ready. We don't have enough space in the buildings. We can't buy enough commercial space. Everybody worked from home. So it kind of came from the West Coast across through Texas, right? And then now it's starting to head to the East Coast. And COVID just put the nail in the coffin. I mean, of course you have a home office. Who doesn't at this point, right?
Right.
But yeah, major red flags. There are certain types of strategies that are definitely they're leaning 8.5, leaning 9. Okay, so we've heard big things. Cryptocurrency is a big one. If you have US servers, now it's not an automatic flag that you have cryptocurrency, okay? But a lot of people bought into cryptocurrency and did that cryptocurrency on a foreign server, like maybe a server in China or Russia, whatever. It's not on a US server. The US tracks that and they know that.
We happen to know, we happen to know somebody that has cryptocurrency who's been really having a hard time finding an accountant that can figure out how to report that to the IRS. And he's very concerned about it. I won't tell you his name, but he thinks he got to figure it out.
All good. Well, and cryptocurrency is one of those things, right? If you're not a specialist, you can cause real problems. So for example, we'll stick with the cryptocurrency. If your cryptocurrency is on a foreign server, there's actually a special form called the FinCEN 114. So for your friend, FinCEN 114, he must report those assets. And if he doesn't, it's a $10,000 penalty per account that he has that the IRS will nail him with.
What if he just what if he just lost all his money in cryptocurrency? Does he still have to? Because he invested, but he had some losses. Do you still have to report all the activity?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yep.
Report my world, report everything. And then we take every legal loophole that the senators wrote for themselves, the congressmen wrote for themselves. Let's talk about the master's exemption. You guys are going to love this one. It's my favorite one. But yeah, the government writes rules for themselves. And the benefits of being an American is that when they write rules for them, it applies to us too, which I love, right? Because the government generally does not like paying taxes, generally, right? So one of my favorite examples, the Augusta rule. Okay. If anybody follows golf, okay, Augusta, Georgia is where the Masters exemption, where the Masters tournament is. Okay. In that neighborhood, in that area, the congressmen and the senators own homes, big homes, beautiful homes. They wrote themselves a law, literally, I'm not joking. They wrote themselves a law called the Masters exemption. They are allowed to rent out their home for 14 days a year, and whatever rental income they earn is 100% tax-free. That is black and white a law. So I live in Scottsdale, right? We have Scottsdale, Arizona. We have football people that come in. We have, a lot of people come here. People will literally rent out their homes for 2 weeks and have their mortgage paid for the year, completely tax-free.
Where in New Jersey what event could we do that for in New Jersey?
Does that work if you buy a house in Aruba?
Great question. And yes, it does. Yes, it does. Any property that you own. Now, the coolest thing, and here really we're talking about entrepreneurs, people that are out building businesses, that's, kind of who's our listeners generally. It doesn't have to be somebody else that rents your home. Your business can rent your home from you. So if you have business dinners, if you have networking events, if you have business partners come to your home, your business can pay you that rent. It's a deduction for the company. You don't pay self-employment tax on it, totally tax-free to you. Awesomeness all the way around.
That is one heck of a tax strategy.
That's gonna fund our big party. We have a huge party every year, and it basically turns into a networking party because it's all people from the business world, and we've been paying for it ourselves.
Right.
Well, this is going to fund our party.
Fix that. Yeah. And these are, and I suppose kind of going back to that question, what are the things you need to be looking out for? What are those red flags, right? When you're interviewing that CPA or that tax strategist, they need to be able to explain to you why. Not just that they know about the strategy, but why. Why is it good for you? Why does it work? How was the law written, right? You really want to, just like in IP, you don't want to go to some guy on the street that says, yeah, I can get you your trademark for $1,000, here's under the trench coat, right? You want somebody that can explain it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what, when clients come to us, that's what we do for them. Filling out the paperwork for a trademark application is not that hard. You can go to online service and get that done. And sometimes it works out. But what you really need is somebody who has the experience of filing 10,000 trademarks, right? And has seen the system work from beginning to end and knows what they're doing. And I think that's the essence of any professional service. And so we appreciate hearing you say that.
Especially when you're dealing with the government, right? Knowing how they work.
The government.
Yes, you have to know what's going on for sure. Yeah.
So Kenya, she just joined us.
Hey, Coach Kenya.
How are you doing?
I hope my sound is okay. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a wind tunnel. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, you're fine. So Kenya's our media maven from iHeartRadio, and she usually helps us interview. So do you have a question for Shauna?
Well, I just was curious, and I'm sorry if this was already asked, like where was the name come from, like the tax goddess, like, instead of the tax expert or something else?
Well, definitely a part of it did come from the hair. So yes, it just kind of comes. No, I was actually in a room. So this was forever ago. So let's back up. At one point, I was a baby business too, right? We're now 18 years old, but I was a baby business at 1.2. So when I started my company, I didn't know what I was doing either. I went to the Arizona Corporation Commission, walked in the door and said, I need to form a company. And she said, what do you want your name to be? And I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't think about that because I'm a CPA, right? I just need a business. Okay. So we started out with a totally different name. About 3 years in, I was at a networking meeting, and good or bad, I was not paying attention to what was going on around me. They were passing a microphone from person to person, 30 seconds, give your commercial, this kind of thing. Had the microphone shoved in my face, picked it up, stood up in front of 200 people and said, "Hi, I'm Shauna the Tax Goddess." And every head in that room spun. And a very good friend of mine that is a marketing genius in the back of the room came up to me after and said, "You change everything. You change the legal name, you put that in your card, like everywhere needs to say Tax Goddess." So stroke of inspiration from the muses? It's a great question.
I didn't know there was a goddess of taxes, but it figures. It makes sense, right?
Absolutely. The Romans do have one, and I'm pretty sure I'm a reincarnation. So
Kenya at one point suggested that I call myself the IP superhero, and I just couldn't go that far.
No, I think you should do it.
it's the biggest thing. And you guys mentioned my last name, my actual technical last name is Wekherlien. Nobody can pronounce it. Nobody's going to remember it, right? And really my drive, my passion is saving people money from the government, right? This is your money. You work hard for it. Keep it. Okay. I don't want people to try to remember my last name and I'm a CPA, Masters in Tax, CTC, CTS, blah, 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 add all these initials after my name. Shauna the Tax Goddess is direct, gets straight to the point, knocks it on the head. Everybody knows what I do. And, the goddess just comes along with it. So.
Well, it's been delightful chatting about taxes with you, Shauna, the goddess,
I'm so happy to hear that.
tax goddess. And we have to take a break, though. We'll be back right after this with Passage to Profit and our special guest this evening, Shauna, the Tax Goddess. And welcome back to Passage to Profit, everybody. We just learned a whole lot about tax stuff with Shauna, the Tax Goddess. And for goodness sake, call this lady before April 15th, because she's going to help you out with strategies and
especially if you've been dabbling in cryptocurrency. Oh boy, you better call her.
Yeah, you better call her. Foreign server is like a foreign computer. That's where they put the programs and stuff. And so I guess even if you're doing business over there, you have to file a form with the IRS.
And not a lot of accountants are well versed in that. So
no. And so good to know. Any case, we have coming up for our executive spotlight, Valeria Aloe, and she is going to be talking about conscious abundance. So welcome to the show, and tell us, what is conscious abundance?
So essentially, long story short, I'm from Argentina, came to the US 20 years ago. I'm from a very small town in Argentina, and first one to go to college, first one to step into corporate spaces. And I have to say that the first job that I got was in PricewaterhouseCoopers. So Shauna, you're the tax expert, the most fun tax expert I ever met in my life. Let me share. Yes, amazing. So yeah, so I started my career in finance, then pivoted to marketing, joined Procter & Gamble, came to the US, studied my MBA at Dartmouth, but it's been all, of myself effort. My parents could not afford any of that, any of my college education. So I've been working since I was 17 years old, working full time, paving my way. So how do we get from business and accounting at PricewaterhouseCoopers and innovation and brand management in Procter & Gamble and an MBA, how do we get to conscious abundance? Essentially, my full life was about what's next, right? And a lot of effort as a first generation, as an immigrant in the US, a lot of effort, sacrifice, hard work to really succeed. And I put all my eggs in one basket. That was my career. And essentially pushing so hard through adrenaline. And I did really well, but I created some health issues and imbalances in my life until in 2016, I burnt out. I had to stop working. I stepped out of corporate, and I essentially, started to see what can I do professionally with purpose, my mission, to feel that I'm serving, that all my talents and all this amazing education and the opportunities that I got, I can use that for the highest good in a way that is also meaningful to myself and fulfills me, and I feel good and alive and vibrant. Because let me tell you that in 2016, I was not feeling very happy. And despite, I had been here for 15 years, to very healthy children, amazing life, in a very good place, living in a very, affluent place and all these opportunities, I was feeling very empty inside and quite in the darkness. So that was the trigger point of conscious abundance. And it started with the big challenge of doing something that essentially became the only thing that you did for decades, that was working hard out of adrenaline and not out of enthusiasm and purpose and looking for the highest good. So conscious abundance is a platform that helps Latinas be successful in any way they want to be successful in career and life. But the end goal is to help Latina professionals and Latina business owners to grow in their careers and, yes, to make more money.
That sounds great. I really admire. So you went through this transition from the corporate world to the entrepreneurial world. How long did it take you to kind of leave that world behind and then decide on a new path, a new journey?
I had this hard stop in 2016, but for a decade before that, or maybe 8 years, I was feeling empty. So I was already struggling, I have to say, successful in the outside, but struggling in the inside. And in 2016, with that hard stop, I went immediately into ground zero. And let's see what life will look like from now on. And let me share this story about a friend of mine who is from Venezuela and lives also near my house. She said, let's go to this Hispanic Chamber event in New Jersey, the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, just to meet new people. I had never been with Hispanics because I had been in corporate, mostly the only Latina in the room. And I showed up at this Hispanic event, and suddenly, after 15 years being in the US, I find myself immersed in the Hispanic community for the first time. Hundreds of Latinos around me. And I really loved the experience. And I ended up leading a full program for entrepreneurs, creating a platform for them. Now I'm in Montclair State University, New Jersey, doing the same thing, relaunching a platform, an incubator for entrepreneurs. And that helped me through launching a platform for others. It helped me find a platform to grow my own business and to refine my own business. So it happened quite organically, but I had a hard stop in 2016.
So Valeria, if a woman entrepreneur or even a woman working in corporate of Latina descent comes to you, what is one of the first things you do? Do you ask her story and then try to help her figure out goals and things that she can do? Like, how does your system work?
So the system goes first into getting into the mindset of that person and understanding, the inner world of that person. One of the things that I have done in the last years, when I immersed myself in the Hispanic community, I learned that the struggles that I had as an immigrant, I was not the only one. Everybody around me, and 50%, so you have 5 million Latino-owned businesses in the US, 5 million. Half of them are owned by immigrants, half. That's huge. So I found that those who are immigrants or children of immigrants, we battle with our beliefs, the limiting beliefs we bring from our culture. You can call that a colonial mindset, right? We come from Latin America, countries that were colonized. And honestly, we grew up hearing that we were in third world countries. So imagine when I come here to the US as an immigrant from a third world country, I felt very small. I'm like, what can I contribute to the first world economy? So we all feel the same. So the first thing that I do when I work with somebody through workshops and also the one-on-ones, I go deep into learning their experience. And I want really all of this, the trauma, the hurdles, the difficulties, the how you feel inside to come out. I want people to name it, because when you give these situations, these hurdles, these difficulties a name, you gain authority over them, you gain power, and that starts a healing process. Honestly, after all these decades in corporate America and with my own business, I had access to opportunities, I was promoted, I had global roles, I was flying around the world working with these corporations, I had opportunities, but inside I felt undeserving and unworthy. So at the end of the day, you can get access and opportunities, but if the mindset is not updated to go with these opportunities, you're going to hold yourself back. So it's one of the big things that I work on is like the reason why we have a leadership and a wealth gap in the Latino community. Yes, there is systemic bias, we have that, but one of the reasons is also we hold ourselves back. So that's where I work with people. It's like, where do you hold yourself back? Because we need to find that one point to unravel the rest of the situation that then eventually will help you, grow and be successful.
That's great. I really love that. I think that what you're saying is so important and valuable. Shauna, do you have any thoughts?
I'm getting all choked up even just listening to you as another woman-owned business, even from that end. So certainly you are focusing on such an amazing culture that brings such history and knowledge and sense of presence to business owners and to what they do to help them step into their power is spectacular. I'm getting all caught up.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that there are people in the world like you, because not everybody is given that chance. And that is, I'm hoping all the listeners out there are going, hey, I've got a friend that needs this, because that is amazing, Valeria.
Yeah, it's so insightful, Valeria. Like, I think a lot of us don't do that deep searching and get those insights. And I know Kenya has got something that she would like to say.
Yeah, Valeria, I love what you're doing in this space. And I just was curious, like, what are some of the barriers that you encounter with some of the people that you work with?
So which are their mindset barriers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I work with those 500 entrepreneurs in the last 5 years, but also most recently to write my book on colonized Latinas, I interviewed in depth 55 Latinas. And these are, business owners, they are professionals, they are in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, immigrants born in the US, so Afro-Latina. So we have a mix. And there is a commonality. So the barriers that I find are the sense of inadequacy. So we feel lacking. We feel that what we bring to the table really doesn't matter. So that's a big one. Unworthiness is another one. And this can be unconscious. So the moment you start making money or being successful and you feel unworthy of that, you either sabotage yourself or you overcompensate, as I did, working too hard to demonstrate that I was worthy of the money and the opportunities coming in. And I took myself to a burnout. So other behaviors that are very particular in the Hispanic community are silence. We were raised not to rock the boat. We're a community that was raised to be serving of others, not really to lead. The Latino community is great at serving, but then you do not find many Latinos in leadership positions. We have that mindset from our culture that taught us, you will help others. You are here to serve, but not to take that one place at the table and be the one leading the conversation, sometimes being the only Latino in the room and feeling comfortable with that. So there is a thing that in Spanish translates, it's like calladita te ves más bonita, which is when you are quiet, you look prettier, which essentially, many
People
of
say that about me all the time.
No, you're beautiful in any state, dear.
Even talking? I don't think so. Anyway, please go on.
Yeah, so that from our culture, we were told that we should be quiet. We don't have an opinion. What you say really, as a kid, they say kids don't have an opinion here. And I can see the difference. My kids were born in the US and they are encouraged to have an opinion since they are in kindergarten. While in the Latino community, we were encouraged to be quiet and to not rock the boat and to not express our opinion and also not really ask for what we need to succeed. And, so there are those behaviors. And then you have two more that are pervasive and we don't talk about in the Latino community. These things that I'm disclosing here, we don't talk about this. I'm removing the curtain. We're looking behind the curtain a little bit here. But we need to talk about these things and we don't. So two more behaviors that I have found through this research. One is competition. There is a sense of scarcity, a scarcity mindset. There is not enough for all. And because there is one chair for a Latino or a contract that will go to a Latino company, we all fight with each other to try to get it. instead of thinking that the one Latino that gets to the table, to that chair, has to open more chairs for more Latinos to have that equal representation, right? So we compete with each other a lot. And the final one that is huge is colorism within the Latino community, which is racism, right? 25% of Latinos are Afro-Latinos, and Afro-Latinos have been denied by our own Latino community. I'm a white presenting Latina, right? I'm a white presenting Latina, and that gives me a privilege and also a responsibility of embracing other Latinos who don't have access because of the way they look, right? But that's something that within the community we have not embraced so much. There is racism. There is like a totem pole. There are categories. There is classism. So all of that happens in our countries in Latin America, and we bring that here as immigrants or children of immigrants. And it's in our mindset holding us back collectively and individually. So those are some of the mindsets in a nutshell.
Wow, thank you very much. I mean, I after hearing you speak about these things, I feel a real empathy for people who are coming here for the first time. And I'm just imagining what it must be like to come here and have to absorb a whole new culture, a whole new way to behave, learning different norms and different rules. It just seems daunting, and I'm really glad that you're able to bring this perspective to us.
Right. And the power that she brings is being able to recognize what it is that's holding you back.
Yes.
And stopping you from succeeding. That's really what's powerful about your technique, right? So congratulations. This is amazing. I think you're just amazing.
And thank you so much for joining us. And where can people reach you and find out more about your book and your contact you directly if they need to?
Thank you. So the book Uncolonized Latinas is on Amazon. You can also visit my website uncolonizedlatinas.com or Instagram, Valeria Aloe. And I wanted to add one more thing. The Hispanic community will be 30% of this country in 2060. So this is a collective effort. So I always envision what type of 30% do we want to have? An empowered 30% that has self-confidence, that believes in their power, that embraces our identity, because we're multicultural, multiracial, right? We need to embrace who we really are and step into that power and contribute our best to this amazing country we call home, the US. 30% is a big number. So we all need to work together. Allies, Latinas, Black, Asian, all of us need to work together to really allow people to embrace the truth of who they are, because that makes them absolutely powerful, and for this country to continue to be the amazing country that it is, because we're all here, because this is an amazing country that I'm so proud to call home. I've been here for 20 years. This is where I gave birth to my children. So that we need to have these conversations for people to step into their power and continue with our diversity, making this the amazing country that it is.
Absolutely.
Well said. Excellent.
Thank you very much. So we'll be back with more Passage to Profit right after this. Welcome, everybody. It's Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. And we've had some amazing guests on the show. Shauna, the tax goddess, talking about tax things, and Valeria Aloe talking about the challenges that Latinas face in the world today, but she's got some help for that. And now we're on to Power Move with our fabulous media maven, Kenya Gipson. Hello, Kenya. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. Who's our Power Move subject of the week?
So our Power Move for today is CEO and founder of LaMake Beauty, Kim Roxy. It is a makeup and skincare line that she launched. And the power move here is nobody knew her product even existed. And what she decided to do was tap into the power of celebrity and get attention for her business by sending her cosmetic kit to Tiffany Haddish's 2020 film, Like a Boss. So what she did, she took a product kit, she actually sent it to the set of a movie, and didn't know the movie was going to be about beauty products. And she got her product featured all over the place because it was featured in the film. And she
Wow.
blew up from there. So I thought that was a great power move. And because it's Women's International Month, I just wanted to celebrate a woman CEO and highlight that power move today.
That is so great. You know, amazing things happen when you just try, you know, when you
Right.
just take a small risk and get out there and try something new. And look what happened for her. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, great.
And
On to Fireside.
on to Fireside.
So I have a startup called Fireside Directory. It's a video directory of small businesses that I've been working on for a couple of years. And I've talked about it off and on every show, but I'm part of a peer advisory board. So I have other people that are small business owners. A couple of the guys on there have been doing it for a long time. We meet once a month and we have to kind of report on our progress. And I have to admit, this last month, between Aruba and everything else going on, I didn't get a lot done. And those guys kicked my, you know what. Straight. So now I have to really get down to brass tacks and have something to show them next month. So I do think
so you better get on it.
it's good to have people who can keep you accountable. Plus they have really great ideas for me. And they're like, look, if they don't think I'm explaining this well enough, they're like, if you can't explain it to us well enough, you're not going to get anywhere. So you really have to work on how you explain it. So that's what I'm working on.
I find that difficult to imagine. You're on the radio. You have to be good at explaining things.
I think I'm too close to it. And there's so many pieces to it, you know, there's just so, but anyway, enough about me. I have been so excited for these next presenters, and they've been waiting so patiently. This is a father-son team. Amazing. I mean, we of course love family businesses, right? Mark Cronin and his son, John Lee Cronin, and they decided to make crazy socks. So John's Crazy Socks, welcome. Tell us all about it.
How are you?
Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us
Yeah.
here. This is a great conversation.
Mhm.
It's inspiring, and it's not often you get to say you were on a show with a goddess.
Well, I get to say that every week, but
Smart man, smart man.
Points to you.
so
What we've created is a slightly different type of business model. It's a social enterprise. So we have both a social and a business purpose, and they feed off of each other. But overall, everything we do has one purpose:
I spread happiness.
spreading happiness.
Yeah.
But we started out of necessity because John here, John's many things. You're an entrepreneur,
Yes, I
a
am.
sock tycoon,
Yes.
an athlete, a public speaker, a
Yes.
dancer,
Yes.
but you also have Down syndrome.
I do. I have Down syndrome. Down syndrome. Never me back.
So when John was getting ready to leave school, he's looking around trying to figure out, what do I do next? Like everybody else. And what were you looking at?
I like a job, program, and school. I don't like I don't like.
He didn't say anything he liked. And this is an unfortunate reality for people with disabilities in the US. Fewer than 1 in 5 people in the US who have a disability are employed. But John here is a natural entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
And if you didn't see a job you wanted, what were you going to do?
I want to create one. I want to make one.
And what'd you tell me?
I said I want to go into a business with my dad, a nice father-son business together.
Which is pretty cool. Like, I'm fortunate. I've got 3 sons. John's the youngest. And this is one I could work with. So, you know, we could make it go. And whose idea was to sell socks?
This is my idea, and that's just my idea.
Why socks?
Why socks? It's fun. It's colorful. It's creative. Oh, it can let me be me.
So when did we open?
We open on Friday, December 9th, 2016.
And we're here on Long Island, where you told you that before, outside New York City. So most of those original orders were local. And how'd we deliver those?
A whole delivery.
We did home deliveries, John knocking on doors.
Aw.
Well, jump ahead a little more than 5 years. When we started, we had 37 different types of socks that we could put on one table. How many do we have today?
Today we have 4,000 different kinds of socks.
John owns the world's largest sock store.
Yes.
And we've now shipped 370,000 orders to 88 different countries. But if we get an order between our office and our home, what are you doing?
I'm still doing a home delivery.
Still doing a home delivery.
Oh,
No.
So we've built the business really on 5 pillars. Inspiration
Inspiration and hope, give it back, fun product you can love, and make it personal.
And the 5th is make it a great place to work. And if we're going to spread happiness among our customers and in our community, we got to start here. It's got to be a place where people love to work here, believe in the mission, are committed. They're making it personal. What goes in every package?
Every package get a sticky note from me
A handwritten thank you note
and a candy or
and
Skittles.
some candy.
oh.
We do everything we can, in lots of different ways to make personal connections with our customers. So, Coach Kenya, I know you talk about media and social media. We engage with our community on social media, but it's not transactional based. We're looking to create ongoing relationships and create customer experiences. The fun products you can love, we already told you the choices. You've got to have, yes, we have a very strong social mission, but you got to have the goods. It's like Shauna, you've got to have the great tax advice. So for us, it's a great website, great selection, great products. We have 29,000 5-star reviews, and we do same day shipping. An order comes in today, it's going out today. And, we do better shipping than Amazon. And Jeff Bezos, he's not putting a thank you note and candy in those Amazon.
I was going to say, if Bezos showed up
Yeah.
at my front door with candy, I would be floored.
There you go. But we have giving back is baked into everything we do. So we started by pledging 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics. And why the Special Olympics?
I am better Olympic athlete.
And many of our colleagues are Special Olympic athletes. But now we sell products, we create products that celebrate different causes and raise money for those causes. So John created the world's first Down syndrome awareness socks. Right?
Yes, I did.
You got those
Our
there.
first ones.
But we now have autism awareness socks.
Yep.
Those are
And,
great. So for our listeners that who are listening to us on the radio, they're beautiful blue socks, and
Yeah, you really have to go on the website.
you really
right?
have to go on the
Right.
website to see them.
Yeah.
But we have these pet rescue
Pet
socks.
rescue socks.
And these
Oh, I like-
raise money for organizations like the National Down Syndrome Society, the Autism Society of America,
Yep.
North Shore Animal League.
Yep.
During the pandemic, we introduced healthcare superhero socks that have raised $50,000 for frontline workers.
John,
The
what's your
most
favorite? I wanted to ask John a question if I can.
Yeah.
John, what is your favorite thing about working in the business?
My favorite thing I work about is I like to do videos. I do a podcast. I like to picking helping picking orders, gift wrapping, podcast, speaking engagement,
So
home delivery.
John doesn't like answering, picking a favorite. He'll just keep
It sounds like
listing
you've got a lot of
everything he
favorites.
says.
Well, I have to say, I do want to talk. I got on your website. It's johnscrazysocks.com.
Right.
And they're not just normal socks. Like, they are really cool. Like, I love your designs. I love the whimsy. I feel like a lot of them are whimsical designs, right? I think it's a great place for people to buy socks. I like giving socks as gifts. Like every Christmas, there's socks in the Christmas stockings, right?
There's socks in the socks stockings. Wait,
It's something that, yeah, socks in the stockings, but it's something people can always use. You can always use another pair of socks, right?
Well, one of the things, they make great gifts because you can personalize it with the choice we have. If you know somebody who's into golf, you give them golf themed socks. or somebody into food or wine. We have lots of wine socks, lots of
There you
socks
go.
with liquor, right? And the story behind it is a powerful story. And when you buy from us, yes, you get great socks, but you help us hire people with different abilities. More than half our colleagues have a different ability. You help us give back, and you're spreading happiness. What's better than that?
Wow. What a-
I think you guys have hit the nail on the head with your business. Now, my notes here say that you have turned this into a multi-million-dollar business. Is that right?
That is correct.
That's a lot of
Wow.
socks.
We, like any entrepreneurial venture, we've had some ups and downs. But last year we did about $2.5 million in gross revenue. And this year, we'll probably top $4 million. We're entering the wholesale channel. Kohl's has already committed to putting us in 856 stores for the fourth quarter.
Wow.
So we're moving forward. And you like to say, we're just getting started.
Right. I like that.
So I see something else on here about TEDx talks. What's that all about?
Part of what we're always trying to do is show what people with different abilities can do. So we do a lot of public speaking, do a lot of advocacy work, and we've been fortunate enough to be invited to do 2 TEDx talks. And we did one, the most recent one we did. The theme was hiring people with differing abilities is not altruism, it's good business.
Mhm.
And we lay out the business argument as to why those businesses that hire people like John have a competitive advantage over others.
Excellent. So Kenya, do you have a comment?
I do. So are you located out in Long Island?
Yes.
Yes.
So interesting story on how the universe works. I happened to be out in Long Island one day and I walked by your facility and I actually walked inside, and John, we met. I don't know if you remember that, but you were so nice to me and your staff was so nice. And to your point, everybody seems so happy to work there. So that's so true. And my other question for John is, John, what is the name of your podcast?
A Spring Happiness Podcast.
The Spreading Happiness podcast with John and Mark. It's 30 minutes an episode. We release one each week. And it's just, the whole point is to put a smile on your face and make you feel good. You have fun doing that, don't you?
Right, I did.
Plus you get to hear John tell some jokes, give an update on his love life.
Yeah, I got my girlfriend.
We share some good news.
We want to hear all about that.
So I want to go to Shauna too. Shauna, do you have a comment or question?
I think the biggest thing, that the comment from my end, is just the amount of, you said you want to spread happiness and joy, and just to see you smiling and hearing that thrill and enjoyment in your voice. I do believe that inspires other business owners to do their passion. Valeria is nodding. Everybody on this call is nodding. This is just such a cool thing when you see somebody who just oozes love and passion and happiness for what they do. It inspires everyone else to try to follow in your footsteps. So congratulations.
We've been very fortunate. And I was thinking about some of the things you said, Valeria, about mindset. And, so much of this is just based on mindset. We were speaking to a high school group once, and a student asked, well, who did you need to ask permission from to do this? And at first it's like, well, that's kind of a silly question, but it's really quite profound of, well, nobody, right? There's so much we can do, and we're the only ones holding ourselves back.
Mhm.
So, Shauna, I'm sure you do this with your business. We have no excuses. We can't blame it on the board. We can't blame it on headquarters. The way we run the business, we're responsible for that. And if we want it to be, it's very important to us to be a great place to work. And we have a whole approach on employee engagement. If that matters to us, we get to make it so.
And I'm holding up my little Yoda here because in my world, he sits on my desk, this little bobblehead. In my world, it's do or do not. You choose what you want to do and you either did it or you didn't, one of the two. So you keep working until it's done. So agreed, 1000% agreed.
Powerful, so powerful. And I was going through your Instagram account, and let me tell you that just scrolling without volume through it and looking at your videos made me very happy. And that mindset that you said is what attracts abundance. And the point here is you can be happy, you can have fun, and you can make money. That's what we want more. And we need more happy people, more regular people, more people with disabilities, more people of color, to believe that they can be happy and that they can be abundant and make money. Money needs to be in the hands of good people like us.
That's part of the strength of the social enterprise is there's an impact we can have in the world that businesses and entrepreneurs can have. But you have to be able to make money. You know, it turns out John and we like to live indoors. And if the business doesn't thrive,
exactly,
everybody goes home.
Yeah.
Right? So those 31 people that we employ, if the business doesn't thrive, they're out of work. And we could talk all we want about making it happy or showing what people with different abilities can do, but you got to make money. The key to it, or one of the keys we believe in, is you've got to have a mission or purpose. And it can't be, we're just going to make money.
Exactly.
It's got to be something larger, something that's larger than ourselves, that we can believe in, and that's worthy of the commitment of our colleagues.
You know what? This is excellent. This is a great place to wind things up because we're out of time. You know, we could talk for hours, all of us. I'm sure this has been such a great conversation. It's such a great group to have together, but we're going to have to go to break, but we'll be back. Listeners, if you missed any of this, our podcast comes out tomorrow on all the major podcast sites. It's on our YouTube channel too. And you really should go back and listen to what these people have been saying, because it's been an incredible conversation and some really great tax tips from Shauna, the tax goddess at the beginning. so you're listening, you're listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Passage to Profit. What a fantastic program this evening. I really enjoyed listening to our guests and learning from them.
You know, I don't think there's another podcast quite like this one anywhere.
Nobody else would do it. I mean.
I do have to say that the brilliant idea for this podcast, which we absolutely love, came from Kenya Gipson, our media maven at iHeart. So thank you again, Kenya.
Thank you, Kenya. And but it's been delightful in so many ways.
So let's talk about who we had. We had Shauna the Tax Goddess, which you can find at taxgoddess.com, and make sure that you see the actual goddess who has this beautiful wavy red hair. She looks like a goddess. Don't mistake anybody else for her, because
she'll make you want to file your taxes. I guarantee you that.
She'll save you money. It's all about money.
I can't wait for tax time. I'm working with the tax goddess.
And then Valeria Aloe with Conscious Abundance, and she has a book and a website, and it is
Uncolonized Latinas.
Oh, the real. And she has a she has a book and a website. It's called uncolonizedlatinas.com. So you have to listen to her to understand where that name came from, but it's a very apt name. So, and
she's had a really profound journey, and I think we all have something to learn from that journey.
Absolutely incredible insights too. And then we had Mark Cronin and John Lee Cronin with John's Crazy Socks, which you can find at johnscrazysocks.com. And what incredible socks, and what an incredible story, and what incredible work they're doing in the world. Right?
I can't wait, because I always need more socks. And for me, the crazier, the better. So I'm going to jump on their website.
On your site. Yeah, I went on there. It was really cool. So, and of course we had Kenya Gipson with a P at iHeartMedia.com. If you want to be advertise on the radio or need digital marketing or just want to talk to somebody who's really a creative genius, because Kenya really is in my mind, then email Kenya. She'll be happy to talk to you.
Absolutely. So it's time to wrap things up. But before we go, I'd like some parting words from our guest this evening, Shauna, the tax goddess. So what are your thoughts, Shauna?
I think the biggest thing that came out of today's event for me is follow your passion, whatever that is. You know, honestly, people, you know, we've heard from Valeria and people hold it in, or should I do this? Should I really move forward? You know, John and Lee, right? Following your passion, doing what you're in love with. And I get it. Nobody else's passion is tax, but I'm all over it. So yeah, I think for me, it's just really follow your passion. And side note, be protected about it. Use professionals, use a team, look at who's on your team, interview your team. Are these the people that you want to build and grow and thrive with? So
great points. Kenya?
Yes, so today's show is all about goddesses and good people for me. You know, I really loved how the whole conversation flowed together, and really just about breaking down barriers, right? There's the only limitations that we have for ourselves are the ones that we set. So I'm so inspired by what John and Mark are doing and what Valeria is doing. And I love what you're doing in the tax space where you're helping people, Shauna. So just a great show and a very cohesive conversation today.
Well, that was wonderful, Kenya. And thank you for joining us. You came in a little late because you had things to do, but we're glad you made it. And so this is Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart for Passage to Profit. I'd like to thank our producer, Noah Fleischman, our production coordinator, Alicia Morrissey, our video editor, Chatterboss, and the whole iHeart team. We'll be back next week with another Passage to Profit episode. Thank you very much for listening. And this is Passage to Profit on WOR 710, the voice of New York.